DJ 360 Mix here today, and I have a special presentation for you. DJ Dynasty. What's up, DJ Dynasty?
What's up, George? Welcome to my home.
Thank you so much for inviting me over. And today we're basically going to see his man cave. He's a DJ that's been around for many, many years. He's worked in New York, here in Florida. And I really want to see all the equipment he's got and all the history and passion that he has. So, Steve, hey. Say hello to everybody.
What's up? Hello, everyone.
And where are you from and all that good stuff?
Okay, cool. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I've been here in Florida for the last 2 years, but I spent most of my musical upbringing in New York, and I bring most of that along with me here, and I carry that through till today.
Great. So show me your equipment first, and then we're going to go into a little bit of the music stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm using both digital and I'm both analog turntable. Strictly vinyl. No time code here. And my digital sources for the rest of my library, which comes from real quick and easy. This is through Pioneer ProLink. So my music comes from the hard drive that's on the network. These Pioneers here are the XDJ 1000s. They don't have any slots for CDs, so that's not CDJs, they're XDJs. And they read my library from the source and have full access to everything. Right now, we're playing right now from a digital source here, which is one of the songs here. We actually have vinyl of that with us here today. We were playing, actually, what you see there is the digital source from my vinyl here. A little later today, I intend on burning this to vinyl. From vinyl to
digital. What song?
Digital.
What song is that?
This is our friend Jimmy Bohorn.
Yes, our friend.
Welcome, Jimmy. Doing the Jimmy Bohorn 12-inch. Is it in?
Okay.
One of my favorites.
Now, why are you ripping this?
Well, a lot of times you can't find the original 12-inch version. That is what I grew up with when these songs came out. You know, now you get slightly different versions, and when you're using them, they kind of don't sound the same. They don't feel the same. I always like the original source.
Gotcha. All right, so give me an example of, I see that you have a record here, and this is the vocal version of what song is this?
All right, this is Heat You Up, Melt You Down, which is a West End release, Shirley Lights.
Okay.
And the unique thing about these songs when they came out in their day is they had the vocal versions, and then they had what was the B-side, usually a dub version, which was a more kind of experimental or
they build up on the song a little bit more than the original just vocal that they played on the radio. More creative, right? More creativity. So let's hear a cut. Let's hear a cut of the original.
Sure. So
see how that sounds.
And so here we'll put on the vocal version of this Shirley Lights vocal. Has kind of a little simple introduction. Not much to it. The vocal and dub carry the same. However, get a little taste of the sound of the original vocal version of the song.
Okay, let's hear a little bit of that. So yeah, that is definitely the original version because I remember that being played on the radio. But now what you do is you play a little bit of the B-side. So let's hear that side.
Absolutely. So, and that was one of the great benefits of how getting the 12 inches of the songs. The vocal versions were extended, and they carried the instrumental dub version, which in this case here, the beginning will sound the same, but you almost the same. It's more interesting right away. More depth, more creativity. The ability to turn to some of these versions through your nights, gave you kind of a longer shelf life of song. A lot of times, just like songs today, you get your vocal version, you play it for some time, and then, it's done. Well, back then, it wasn't MP3s, it was vinyl, so you paid for everything you had. So you made use of some things, and you found the B-side of a song to now all of a sudden give you a second shelf life to the song that people like to dance to. Heard something familiar, but a little different.
Where did you buy the record at?
I do know that at that time I was working at Disco Rama, which was on Union Square in the middle of right on Union Square, Manhattan.
Okay.
And from there, I got music from all the different distributors, directly from promotions. Though I wasn't in a record pool,
right.
Promotional versions were provided to my store. And behind that, I was able to pick up on a lot of things that were not quite mainstream, like maybe this song as an example. It wasn't quite a mainstream song. It was known, but
was it in the clubs? You heard it
in the clubs
right.
More often. You'd hear it in the clubs.
Now, what type of clubs did you go or attend in New York?
Well, I was, I got to first and foremost be fortunate enough to say that I got to visit the Paradise Garage on more than one occasion. I remember seeing a group Firefly there on a Valentine's night.
Right.
Love Is On Your Side. Being able to see that, I was young. I was probably underage to go to clubs. I don't remember exactly what years. But during that time, I also frequented the Funhouse in Manhattan, which was a place that really gave you a nice, deep impression of an appreciation of different types of music. Hearing, sitting in and listening on what could be sometimes a 12-hour night for a DJ. And as a patron, you're listening as a DJ patron, and you start hearing all of these different musics and things that...
Now, let me ask you something. You said that, you could go to a club and you're there several hours. How did you know what song the DJ was playing? How did you get the name of the song?
That's a pretty good question. A lot of times you'd find yourself trying to hum a couple of rips out from that you could remember from the song.
And you would tell what the record at the record store?
You go to the record store. I remember picking up the Smurf, which was the song we heard some time ago, Tyrone Brunson,
right?
Which is an instrumental song. And I remember going to Vinyl Mania and explaining to the guy the song. I don't know how.
Right.
The guy knew what I had. Now, if you listen to the song, there's no words in it.
There's no words, so you would have to hum it.
Yeah.
So did you have access to the DJ at the club and ask him, hey, what song you're playing? Or because there was no cell phone, so you couldn't Shazam, you couldn't take a picture of the label. You couldn't do any of that.
Some places, if you're friends with the DJ, then by all means, they'll always, most of the DJs I was friends with were always, free to share whatever music they might have came across.
Gotcha.
But for instance, I know, I haven't myself, but I always hear people tell me stories. Oh, when they used to go to the Funhouse and they'd hear something from Jelly Bean, they'd give him a napkin over the little half glass that was there.
Right.
And he'd fill out what it was and kind of pass it back. These are stories that I've heard. But for me, myself, it's basically just, treading through and trying to find out what it is.
All right, cool.
Humming it out to someone or something like that.
How do you discover your new music? Because before you used to go to the clubs.
Correct.
How do you discover your new music now?
Well, for me, discovering new music in the term new music, I'm not doing right now.
You're not doing that, okay.
Not plugged in with the newer music of this time. I do rediscover music on stuff that I've either might have missed back then or stuff that I've completely forgotten.
Okay.
Which is also a great experience, and also
So you're basically revisiting your old collection. Correct. To see what other tracks are in there, looking at those dub versions, looking at the second version that's on that album. All right, Steve. So I see you have a lot of records here. Tell me about this collection that you've kept.
Well, this is a small portion of my original collection. I wish I could have kept more, but this is a pretty good amount that I can work from and mix from here at home. Some of these that I've kept, most notably here, are some songs that I really treasured when I got them. They were kind of hard to get at the time. This is what's called an EP, which is not an LP or a 12-inch. What it is an EP, which gives you sometimes 2 or 3 full-length versions of different songs, almost like a mini album. And this was by ESG, an underground funk group from the early 80s. I heard them first in the Paradise Garage. First time I've heard of them. They've had a couple of underground hits, none of which were real popular on the commercial side of things. However, here's one song from them, which is called Moody, that most people would know.
Yeah, Yeah, so that is definitely one of those songs. I was not in New York, and I was definitely not in New York, but I definitely know the song. A DJ named Phil Jones, which we were talking previously, from Miami, he used to play this style of music late night in the radio here in Florida. What other tricks do you have in there? Show me what other
a few other
bangers you got in there.
Bangers here. Let's see here. I was looking at here. Well, here's an absolute classic, which is Martin Circus. Another EP. What that is that I believe this one here.
So an EP is an extended play of one song or two songs.
Correct.
Okay.
So though this is an EP, there's a 12-inch version of this too, which I believe I have. But though it's an EP, one side of it is the whole song. One song. So it's like a 12-inch. It's a full version, but they're different. It's a slightly different playing version than what you hear on the 12-inch.
Gotcha.
This is the better version, if you ask me. Another one of my pride keepers. We were looking at a couple others here. Another underground song, Brooklyn Express. Put this one on for you real quick.
Okay.
Change Position or 69. Not many people know them by name, but when you hear it, you'll know what it is. It's Spank.
So, Steve, that sounds like Spank.
Yes, it sure is.
What is that?
Yeah, the sampling business is not new. This wasn't sampled. This was replayed by a group called Brooklyn Express.
Wow.
Which must be local from Brooklyn, if you ask me.
That's cool. So show us another one there, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it should be right here. This is the white label promo of New Order's Confusion. Another song that I remember specifically going to Vinyl Mania in the village of Manhattan and singing to the guy. Now, I thought it was saying the future. So I'm singing to him the future, and the guy came out and brought me the white label promo of what I was singing to him, Confusion. That's how.
So it's Confusion.
Identified.
I always thought it said the future too.
Me too. And I guess he did too, because he knew it right away. He says, "Oh, here it is," and then sure enough.
So it's saying
right.
Confusion. Confusion.
Yep.
And there's the label right there.
Sure is.
Perfect.
And that's again instrumental dub. This is have a free beat, so there are several different versions of the song, which made it really practical to have. Let me put it forward a little bit. First heard this song at the Funhouse. The next day I could get out there to Manhattan, I bought the record by humming the guy the song as the future.
So back in the day, you went to the club, you heard something you liked, and the very next day you were going to the record store looking for that song.
Yep.
And again, no Shazam, you didn't know the name of the song,
Nope.
Basically just hum it to the guy, and hopefully that guy knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
You like this mixer, why you use it, tell us about it.
I like the mixer. The reason why I was interested in the mixer was, one is because I do like RANE. I did have the bigger RANE, the full 19-inch rack mountable version, which I do still have. But space called for something that was desktop, able to sit on the tabletop. Brought it home, and it gives me what I want. It's the rotary feel, the feel of what a rotary mix feels like.
So it's a rotary mixer, and it's heavy. It's heavyweight. It's not lightweight.
Exactly. You feel it.
You feel the notches on the side, and you feel the resistance, and it just feels perfect for mixing house music.
It does, right? Yeah. And it gives you better control of a mix when you're bringing something in. You have the ability of kind of sometimes bringing it back around. Depending on what you're mixing and how long you can keep it on.
And what are the other knobs that you have? This is one channel here. Show us what else you have on that channel.
Full high pass per low pass per channel. So for this one, these are Q. This is for headphone buttons here.
These are your Q buttons.
Yeah, those are Q buttons. This would give you, if I turn these both on, I can filter and mix into a filter, which I do sometimes, where I'll kind of filter something in and kind of filter the other part out, where you can do that.
Okay, and what about these other
and this is here? Full 3-band EQ on each channel.
Okay.
Your input level, and then your input selections on what you can input from. You can input from USB in. There are several different. I use these line level inputs.
Okay.
From my XDJs, and this is a full punch out 3-band. Isolator, thank you. Yeah, full 3-band isolator.
So the isolator on your mixer, I never really seen that in new mixers. This is something that's brought back from the old days. Tell me about that.
Yeah, isolating in music has become more and more popular and nowadays.
But tell us about the old days.
Well, prior to the mixers like this, if you wanted an isolator, you would have to buy one and insert that inside of your setup in order to have an isolator.
And when you say inserted, what was it?
Well, it was a line level connection that would give you the ability to send the whole.
So it was an external rack mounted controller.
Usually on top of your 19-inch rack-mounted mixer, which are most.
And who made that?
Richard Long, RLA and Associates were most commonly the ones that most people seek. There were other companies that made. I'm not familiar which may have been.
Okay.
But for me, in this case here, it gives you the full 3-band isolator, as well as the ability to cross over to different frequencies for which you'd like the
isolator to work on.
Correct.
Right. So you can dial in your bass frequency here, and then your highs or mid range, and then once you set these two parameters here, you have your lows, your mids, and your highs.
Correct.
So let's say, for example, if we were working on the highs and you were adjusting this knob, you can adjust the frequency to go down into the mids.
Correct. It would include more of that or less of that.
Right.
0 gives you the true setting.
Okay. Now, could you quickly show us that working? So that is. Wow! So that's a cool unique feature that has. Explain what's going on here.
Well, you can capitalize on some different parts of sound. I like using it for just to cut out the bass. Maybe sometimes increase a little bit on the mids. So it gives you the ability to kind of make different sound in the original song, kind of make it your own, and it brings energy to the people when they're really listening to it. They like to see the DJ doing things, and it sounds cool. It's not just doing something.
So back in the day of all the clubs, I noticed that a lot of DJs would, either cut the bass down, just leave the mids and tweeters up for a little while.
Yep.
And they would do that for 20 seconds of the song. There would be no bass. They would just do the frequencies, the high frequencies, and then they would just bring that bass in, and then that would what would that do to the crowd?
It just it's like lights the room on fire. And as soon as they just drop, when you got the right sound systems, and you're likely talking about places that do. And when they just, they kind of toy with the crowd, they kind of bring it back, and people tend to want more. And
so it's like almost like an energy button, basically.
It is. It just, when you got the right sound system, it does wonders.
Right. That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool. So Steve, I see you have a very unique console for your records and turntables. Where did you get that?
Well, this was actually built to some specifications that was in a place where I used to DJ. They built it for me at the height and length that I needed. The place lasted for a few years. When they closed down, they gave it to me. I brought it home.
And you have space for your 12-inch?
Space for my records, my 2 turntables, two Pioneer CDJs, and your mixer, that RANE mixer, which fits
perfectly.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like that because the mixer kind of has the wood siding.
Yeah.
And this is made out of wood too, so that's really neat. I like that.
It's got the wear on it to show all the
And
years that I used it. Yeah.
You gotta have
That
wear,
was
you see.
my coffin. I used to bring my CDJs in
And you
every
should put
night,
that
up
in.
and down,
Cool.
up and down, and there's the wear from it.
And you designed it with the record slots. You told them you wanted record slots, and they did that.
I added at the club that wasn't using vinyl, so this was used for other stuff. When
Gotcha.
I brought it home, I added the partitions here.
Nice.
And made record slots out of it, which
Cool.
you know made up for 6 crates of records that I had laying around in this room now buried in here.
Nice. I hope you guys found this video very informative, and I would like to also thank Steve for allowing me to film this at his location. A couple of websites you guys should definitely take a look at if you're in the industry is the South Florida DJ Association. They're located at sfdja.com. Also take a look at the DJ Talk Show with John Q and myself, DJ George Jett.